All right, I guess we should get this show on the road. Welcome. It's an all open media vault evening on the Practical IT channel. Strap in, get your beverage of choice, and let's have some fun with Open Media Vault. So, this was a little bit of a last minute stream, and hey, that's all right. It happens sometimes, right? I felt like I needed to make up for last night. Uh, had this raging migraine, and I was just in no condition to be doing a live stream last night. So, what do we have on deck for tonight? Well, we're going to do a clean install of Open Media Vault. I'm going to try to explain along the way so that people have a better understanding of why I'm making some of the choices that I'm making. By the end of the live stream, my hope is that we will not only have set up Open Media Vault, updated it to the latest version, enabled a few services, maybe looked at the OMV extras, which are the quote-unquote plugins, beyond what is included in the standard package. And then to put icing on the cake, we will install either NetBird or Tailscale as a means of having this virtual machine accessible outside of the local network. So, like I said, grab a snack, strap in, grab a beverage, adult or otherwise, and let's do this. All right. I have stubbed out a virtual machine to use for Open Media Vault. Now, Proxmox is a tool. Proxmox is a tool that enables me to create demo virtual machines that I can destroy after the demo. Don't get yourself hung up on the fact that I'm using Proxmox. What you should more concern yourself with is that this is a machine. Take virtual out of it for a moment. Just concentrate on what we've got here specification wise. We have a machine with 16 gigs of RAM, 8 processors. It has a virtual optical disc with the boot media inserted. It has a 32 gig disc. What? Oh, bugger. All right, let's fix this. Let's fix this. Edit. Oh, it's too late now. All right, we're gonna just go with it. We've got a 50 gig drive that we're going to boot off from. And then we've got 4 32 gig disks that we're going to use for storage. So imagine, if you will, you've got a NAS box with built-in storage for the operating system and 4 drive bays. That's all you have to conceive of in your mind. Once we get past the installation stage and get to the web interface, it's going to look identical to what you would see if you were running it on an old PC, if you were running it on a box that physically looks like a network attached storage box. It doesn't matter. So keep that in mind. We've got a single network card installed in this thing. So we're going to go to console and we are going to start this up. Now, keep in mind, Open Media Vault is based on Debian Linux. So when you think of Open Media Vault and what you might be able to do to extend it, although it may not be officially sanctioned, think of Debian. So if you need a solution for remote access for your Open Media Vault server, Tailscale runs on Debian, TwinGate runs on Debian, NetBird runs on Debian, Zero Tier runs on Debian. Take your pick. The big caveat being that they're not officially sanctioned. They're not going to show up in the web interface for Open Media Vault. You're going to have to go to the command line to do some configuration. Not the end of the world. That's part of the reason we're trying this out tonight. I do know it works. I've played with this kind of stuff before. It's not the end of the world. All right, let's get this moving, and then I will say hello to people in chat. So English, United States, American English. And we wait. And it goes. All right, so it is going to ask when it gets to the next stage, it's going to ask, here we've got the host name. We're going to just use .local, which is fine for our purposes. It's going to ask for the root password. Now, the root password will be used if you want to log into the local command line interface, or if you're using the WebTTY extension. We'll look at that later. So I'm going to put in my root password and verify. And Eastern time zone. Okay, one or more storage media devices have been detected. And so the oddball, and I wanted to do this flip-flop, but this is all right. I actually wanted to have 50 gig drives for the storage, but we'll work with this. It's just a demo. I'll destroy it afterwards. So we're going to select the top one as the operating system installation location. And let this do its thing. And in the meantime, we have TVJ with us tonight. Welcome, sir. Just grabbed a drink and a snack. Before you get started, why would someone choose Open Media Vault over something else? Okay, this is a great question. I think of Open Media Vault as a great stripped down NAS that doesn't have some of the overhead requirements of something like TrueNAS Scale. Now, you can add to Open Media Vault to get it close to what TrueNAS Scale offers. You're not going to have the OpenZFS. You're not going to have some other polish and other things that TrueNAS Scale can provide. However, I started, my first NAS that I built was FreeNAS version 0.5, I believe. It might have been 0.3. And so when there was the great schism that resulted in IX Systems having FreeNAS, which they rebranded to TrueNAS, and then TrueNAS Scale. The original maintainer, I don't know, he wasn't involved right at the beginning of the development, but the original maintainer of of FreeNAS wanted to build something on Linux. And so I made the transition from the BSD versions of FreeNAS over to Open Media Vault. And for me, it just seemed like a great transition at the time that they did it. Now, that's not to say that I don't have pre-built NAS boxing on my network. I've got a Synology over here behind me. I've actually got two other Synology boxes that are out of support. I've got a Buffalo and a QNAP. And the first pre-built box I bought was a Thecus. I don't know, however the hell you want to pronounce that. But that just kind of went belly up. I won't use the British equivalent to that phrase. But the hardware of that NAS died, and thankfully it was running a semi-generic version of Linux on it and software RAID, because I was able to take the forward drives out of that, put them in a PC box. It was a mess of cables, but I made it work. Rebuild the NAS, or rebuild the RAID array, and then transfer my files off that RAID array. So that's a little history how I got started with Open Media Vault. Plus the fact that I've made videos since I think version 3 of Open Media Vault, and people keep coming back and asking questions and, whatnot. All right, so we are United States for the mirror, and we're just going to use the top one, deb.debian.org, no proxy. I'm going to disappear for just a minute. All right. Had to get a little something to drink. And no, it's not an adult beverage tonight. So the question that really stemmed or really inspired this live stream came through over the weekend, and basically wanted to know, how do you access Open Media Vault remotely? There's not a facility built in, and so it comes with a bit of a caveat, or multiple caveats depending on how you look at it. So you can, and we're going to at least attempt to install either Tailscale or NetBird tonight, and it will install. You've got to use the command line to do it, but it will install. The caveat being, well, twofold. So one, it doesn't show up as a new interface in the web control area for Open Media Vault. And two, since it's not officially sanctioned, it could break at any time after an Open Media Vault update. Now, how do you counteract this issue? Well, there are a few ways. You could get a KVM, like a Comet or a Jet KVM, and you can have it hooked to your Open Media Vault box. Or you could, if you have another PC on that network, you could have it set up with something like Splashtop or Zoho Assist, I believe is one, or Rustdesk. And that would give you a backup way to access Open Media Vault remotely, not directly necessarily, but still remotely. Now, I guess I should say I should throw this out there as well. If you dive deeper into setup for Netbird or Tailscale or Twingate or Zero Tier, whatever floats your boat, right? You can set it up so that you can actually have a machine that has that software installed on it, and then it will let you access other machines on the rest of your local network. You'll need to weigh the advantages and disadvantages for your own situation, but it can be done, and it can be done multiple ways. So, all right, we're going to finish the installation. We'll say continue, and then we're going to go over here, and we're going to eject the virtual optical disk, and it should reboot here. Now, I don't know what's going to be part of the next big update for Open Media Vault. Theoretically, we're probably going to see an 8.0 version sometime the latter half of this year, maybe fourth quarter. I can't say for sure. I'm not the developer. However, since Open Media Vault is based on Debian, you can expect that there's going to be another version that's based on Debian Trixie after that, after Trixie has been fully released. Okay. So, one thing I'm going to point out here, if we log in as root, there is a command, and I've not really seen this discussed too much, but it is listed right here on the about a third of the way down. OMV first aid. And what is this useful for? Well, you can reconfigure your network interface. You can change the time zone. You can configure the workbench, change the administrator or the workbench password, the workbench being the web UI. Reset failed login attempt counter. Restore configuration for backup. Check configuration status file. Check RRD database. Clear local upload package repository. And submit diagnostic report to administrator. So right now we don't need to do any of those things, so we're just going to exit. And we are on 214. So this is what people normally see the first time they get to an Open Media Vault box. You're presented with a login screen. And as much as I'd love them to change it, this is the way it's been for years. Your default username is going to be admin, and the password is Open Media Vault. Now, I would highly recommend one of the first things you do is to change this password to something that's not the default, right? So that's going to be step 2 of what we're going to do. First, we're going to set up the dashboard page. And I'm just going to add things the way I normally do. Memory, grid, smart status, services, grid, system information, time, updates, and uptime. And we're going to save that. And then our little dashboard is going to populate. Now, keep in mind that for every update that is released for Open Media Vault, a new ISO image is not created. So there are out of the box going to be updates available. It's just the way it is. But before we go any further, I'm going to come here into users and they don't actually list the admin user. Interesting. So you could add your own user and let's see. I don't know. We'll put this in sudo and we'll put it in. Well, I'll figure this out later. Anyways, you want to check the documentation for exactly where these groups are mapped. There should be an admin group, but oh, there we go. Open Media Vault admin, Open Media Vault web GUI, config, notify. Sure, we'll give all of those. All right, and then can save this. And it should prompt me in just a second. Apply. Yes. I think some of these extra dialog boxes are a little excessive, but hey, it's the way of the world, right? So we're going to jump back to dashboard and we're going to start our updates. And we're going to end up having to do these in 2 batches, I believe, because there's 94 updates. And undoubtedly, there's going to be something that's going to depend on something else that's not installed. And it's going to only install part of them the first time around. We'll have to restart the system, and then we can install the next section, right? Thankfully, this is going to go pretty quick. I'm going to send Josephus a message and see if he wants to join us. All right, so we've got 5 people watching. I'm going to come back here for a second, and they moved my media stuff around on me. Thank you, Bending Spoons. I mean, this does look nice, but it's not one of those too little, too late things. Hey, everybody, if you can like the video, it'll really help the channel and keep me motivated to make more content. So thank you if you've already liked the video. I don't know. Gotta say it, apparently. I hate doing that because I kind of feel like a used car salesman when I do it, but hey, what can you do? All right, well, let this sit for a minute, and I'm going to disappear just momentarily. All right. So it's doing its updates. All right, connection lost. We can go here. We can hit the check mark. Yes. And it's going to want us to reboot the system, which is fine. All right, so system restart is required to apply changes. Fine, not a big deal. Reboot, confirm, yes. Okay. And we're just about there. We're just about there. All right. There we go. Maybe it did do all of the updates in one fell swoop. It's saying no updates available at the moment. Kind of surprising, but hey, it's all good. We're going to come back here, update manager, and check this one more time, and there's nothing showing. Okay. It's all good. All right. So, obviously, this user interface is not terribly difficult. System, network, storage, services, users, and diagnostics. I don't think we're even going to set up storage tonight. My goal is to get probably NetBird installed and install it on another VM that I've got set up running Ubuntu, and then access the web interface for this box using the NetBird IP address. So that's kind of where I want to go. If we get to other things, icing on the cake, right? So one of the first things I want to do is I want to come into plugins. Now, these are the plugins that ship with the system ready to be installed. So if we come down all the way to the bottom, we've got the WETI, the Web TTY plugin. So we're going to select this and we're going to say install. We're going to confirm and say yes. And that's going to do its thing. We'll give it another minute or so, and it should, there we go, end of line, close. Should prompt us up here. Or not. All right, so we can hit services, and now we've got WETI right here. We click on that. We'd have to enable it, yes. And save, apply, yes. And then we can say open UI. All right, now we're logged into the web TTY as root. So this will enable us to run the shell script installer for NetBird. Now, I'm going to grab some stuff from the NetBird interface, admin interface, off camera. I'll take the screen off because it will otherwise show my public IP address. And I don't have any ports open to the public, so I'm not terribly worried about people seeing that, but it's not good practice to show it either. So I'm not going to. Make that a little bit bigger. Okay, so I'm going to come back on full screen for a moment, and I'm going to jump over to NetBird, and I'm going to see about grabbing my information I need to add a new device. All right. Come back over here. There we go. And bring this back on screen. All right. So I'm going to paste this in, and it's using curl to grab an install script. And then it's going to run that install script. I've done this before. I'm not worried about it. If you are concerned about the code in the install script, download the install script first and then run it as a second step. Not a big deal. So actually curl's not installed. So we'll install curl first, and we'll clear screen, and we'll go back up here and we'll run this. And it's going to grab some information and run the installer. All right. And it already exists. Etsy systemd system netbird.service. NetBird service has already been loaded. Service has been started. Installation is finished. To connect, you need to run NetBird by executing the following command: NetBird up. NetBird up. If your browser didn't open automatically, go to this URL to log in. All right, I'm going to go to that. Off screen. Okay, so I can show that part. So it's asking me to confirm the device. And it says, congratulations, you're all set. So I can actually close this now. And if we do IPA, you will see that the main Ethernet adapter has the address of 74.214, and then WT0 is 100.97.94.161, and that's my NetBird interface. So I'm going to temporarily come or take the screen off, and I'm going to take a look on NetBird. And so let's see. Reload that page. Do. That's not what I want. All right. I'm going to copy an address for another machine that I've already joined, and we'll bring that over here, and we'll say ping that address, and it is in fact reaching that address. Okay, now I think I can do this without going to do this. Let me take a look at this one. 161. No, that's 214. Let's see. Look at peers. And what did I call this? Oh, did I call that just Open Media Vault? Yes, I did. Okay. That's fine. So the trick here is going to be, let's copy this address. Come over to the Mac terminal. And we'll put that in, and we can actually reach that from the NetBird address. So if we come over here, open up a new tab and put in this address, we've got Open Media Vault. Now, Tailscale, Twin Gate, and Zero Tier are going to work virtually the same way. You do the install, you make sure they're joined to your account, and then you can access remotely. Not terribly difficult, but okay, for grins, let's come back over here. I've got this guy is an Ubuntu desktop. And hey, everybody. TVJ's lonely in the chat, all by himself. All you have to do is subscribe to the channel for 5 minutes, and you can participate in chat. Doesn't cost you a dime. All right, so we're going to do a couple things on this machine. Just because we're only 40 minutes in, and we've basically accomplished what we initially set out to do. So I'm going to open up Firefox on this virtual machine. And we're going to do C-NERGY RDP. Okay. We're going to come here. And this is Griffin's IT library. We're going to look at XRDP. And the cool thing is they have this easy XRDP installer for Ubuntu, and it does support version 2504. Now, this is probably going to crash and burn on me because I think this is snapshot 2 of 2510. So we may not get all the way through this, but hey, just for poo emojis and grins, let's give it a try. So we're going to do this. We're going to copy that. We'll do Control-Alt-T to open a terminal. Paste. And it's going to download the XRDP installer zip file. We can do ls, so we can say unzip XRDP. And that's done that. And so we can say sudo dot, do we need to be sudo on this one? Let's try it without. Dot slash xrdp. There, do that. Okay. Checking if the script is run at least once. Detected installation via GUI. Your system is not running a supported version, right? So I'm running 25.10 snapshot 2, so we can't run this. But that's all right. We're going to do we are going to do Bitwarden and add that. Pin to toolbar. I'm going to make myself full screen again and log in. Try it in fat finger, which I did. And verification code. I'll send to my email. Gotcha. Bitwarden. 222-563-97184. 563-97184. No worries, Jay. I'll keep going, whether I've got people playing nice in chat or not. Not the end of the world. It's not the first time that I've sat here and talked to myself for hours on end. So, I appreciate you being here and actually keeping me company a little bit for a while. Oops. Marker created at 45. Oh, well, I don't know what I did there, but accept cookies. All right, so I need to log into my Gmail so that this goes smoothly. Bear with me. We're almost there. When it works, I actually do like passkeys, but it's the fact that they don't work 30% of the time that makes me mad. Okay. I'm going to do app.netbird.io. Log in with Google. Do I have a NetBird? I don't want to do it that way. Do it this way. Okay, so I've got Netbird running on Firefox or in Firefox on the Ubuntu machine. It's the virtual machine. Again, don't get hung up on that. It's just a tool. And so we are going to wonder if we can do. No, that's not going to work. All right, so let's look at this. Setup keys. I just want to. I come here. I'm going to say install. Again, we're going to copy this. I'm going to come over here to the terminal. I'm going to paste that. Run some updates. And maybe it'll be happier with me. Get curl installed. Why it's not installed by default, I don't know. Now we can run this. And it's going to be the same type of thing here. Okay, please do the single sign-on login in your browser. So if we click on this, should be here in the browser. I don't know why that's not seeing me as logged in already. And login successful. So now we jump back over here. No, sorry. We can go back there. We can look here. 197, 94, 161. One 100.97.94.61. Was it 161? 161. My bad. I'm not a numbers guy. Okay, so theoretically, now it's saying connected. We could say ping and it is getting a ping response back. So we should be able to reload this. And the complaint was that it was HTTPS by default, and it needs to be HTTP. We don't have it forcing itself over to HTTPS by default. So have a good night, Jay. Appreciate you being here. Take care. So yeah, this is in fact doing what it's supposed to be doing. We can see that we've got a slightly narrower interface or screen on the Ubuntu machine, but we are logged into that Open Media Vault instance. It is now showing that we've got more updates available. Looks like there's 22 updates. We can go ahead and confirm the installation of those. And if we come back over to my Mac side, again, 100.97.94.161. Again, this isn't a publicly accessible IP address. It's only available if you're connected to my NetBird account. But this does give you the flexibility to work with your Open Media Vault remotely. So just wanted to do this demo tonight, going through this. Hopefully this illustrates the process enough that people can understand it. I've got the 141. This is another Open Media Vault. This is actually running on hardware. I've also added a few extra things to this: antivirus, Kubernetes, the WebTTY again. And if we look at the WebTTY on this one, oh, doggone it. Okay, well, anyway, no, I don't know what I set. Don't know what I set the root password to on that one. Anyway, this is also set up. This has 15.4 gigs. Yes, this is the device that has all of my, or a good chunk of my movies stored on it. And so, this is something that I would consider making available to a few family members, just for people that are in places that they can't justify a Netflix. And I don't have the biggest selection of movies, but I've got a good number. So anyway, there are other things you can do with this. Of course, with Kubernetes, you've got what they call recipes. And so you're going to see on here a lot of things that you'll see on other NAS products, Open Media Vault, TrueNAS, Synology, QNAP, etc. They're all going to have some sort of file browser. Image, Jellyfin, MinIO is becoming more popular. We've got Ollama and OpenWebUI. Makes it very easy if you want to have a large language model and make it available to a few people. OwnTone is another audio server, paperless NGX. And hey, I think this is a great use of a dedicated Open Media Vault box with Kubernetes to put paperless on here as a document management system. I've talked about paperless before. I've been running it for a while. I'm pretty impressed. I still want to check out Papra, but in the short term, paperless NGX is serving my purpose. Photo Prism, Plex Media Server, Python Download Manager. There's Rancher. There's Shiori. Smoke Ping, Speed Test, Transmission, WebTTY. Who am I? And this is in addition, and I'm not going to install it on this machine, but we'll jump back over here to our Ubuntu instance. Say close. System restart required. So we'll restart this real quick. Confirm. Yes. Hey, we're not doing too bad for 58 minutes in. I'll be right back. All right, just needed to get something to drink. All right, so what about other plugins? Well, we are going to, I don't want that as a password, go away. We are going to go to Services, Weddy, Open UI. We're going to open up another tab and we're going to go OMV Extras. All right, omvextras.org. And we are on Open Media Vault 7. Oops. All right, Open Media Vault 7. And it's going to list the plugins. So omvextras.org designs value added plugins, greatly extending server functionality, blah, blah, blah. So there's several things that we can do from here. So new user guide. Well, that's a whole thing for Open Media Vault 7. I will say if you haven't looked at the documentation, please, for the love of the Flying Spaghetti Monster, read the flippin' documentation. You will learn a lot about the operation of the system by doing this. Let's see. OMV Extras. And there should be some information here on how to install some of this stuff. Here we go. Installation. So we are going to copy this line here. Come to the web TTY. We're going to log in as root. And then we're going to paste this in and run it. All right. Press Control Shift R in the browser after signing into the Open Media Vault web interface. We're going to log out. Then we're going to sign back in again. Close that. Control Shift R. Okay. Now we should have OMV extras added down here. We go to OMV extras. And it's going to give you a few things here to work with. We go back to plugins. There are a few extra things here, and they are listed as homepage being omvextras.org. So you can now install many of these items. That were not previously available. So, yeah, we've gone through installation of Open Media Vault. We've installed NetBird. We've tested NetBird to make sure that we can access it on the NetBird IP address from multiple machines. We've done updates. We've added OMV extras. And we even talked about OMV First Aid, which allows you to reset the password for the web interface if you should forget it, but can still remember your root password for the main system. Not too bad for an hour and 5 minutes, I don't think. Now, what we did not talk about tonight is storage. We've got disks out here that we have not configured. And I've covered that in other videos. So at this point, you would want to switch over to one of those other videos. This video is in the Open Media Vault playlist, as should those other videos be. Obviously, the 7.0, 7.x series is the most current series of videos I've done. I do hope this has been helpful for somebody out there. And if it has, please take a moment, like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave me some comments. Comments are very helpful. It keeps us as the YouTube creators motivated to make more videos. And I will say this to start to wrap things up. Not every video is going to be the perfect video for every person out there. And I'm okay with that. And you should be too. Some people might not like my style. That's fine. There are other people out there that make Open Media Vault content. There are other people out there that make NetBird content. The trick when it comes down to brass tacks is knowing enough of the underlying technology, sort of on a component level, right? So that you can think through a problem and be able to resolve it. Knowing that Open Media Vault is based on Debian Linux or built on top of Debian Linux. Just that piece of information gives you enough to say, oh, NetBird can be installed on the command line on Debian. Tailscale can be installed on the command line on Debian. TwinGate, Zero Tier, probably half a dozen others. They all support Debian Linux. And while the components you install from the command line may not show up in the graphical web interface for Open Media Vault, there's enough information out there that you should be able to put the pieces of the puzzle together, or at least explain in a way that it's easy for somebody that's not sitting in front of your Open Media Vault server to understand what you've done and what your question is. And it's important that you give the context around the question. What have you done to get to the point that you're at where the problem is? It's difficult when people ask questions and then, as a tech person who's been doing this for a few decades, asks clarifying questions, they just go radio silence. I like to help people, but if I ask you a clarifying question, it's because I'm trying to help you. But I need more information to provide you a good answer. So keep that in mind. I hope this video has been helpful. Thank you for watching. And at the end of this, YouTube's going to recommend another video for you. If you've got the time, please take a moment and watch that other video. Again, it helps the channel. Doesn't cost you anything. All right, everybody. Thanks again for watching. Have a good night.